I spent 9 hours standing still in a video game, which does mean I sat still for 9 hours, but that's not unusual for me. For what, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you did ask, because it was for absolutely nothing other than this check mark. I love this check mark. This is Megabonk, a strange game with a strange name, and if you haven't heard of it, think Vampire Survivors, but 3D. That'll do it. You run around, well, not in this case, but we'll get to that, and you get skills and abilities and upgrades and survive against swarms of goblins and skeletons and monsters, taking on sub-bosses and big bosses. There are a ton of characters and upgrades and quests to get stuck into, but I'm here to talk about challenges, or one specific challenge. This challenge here, this is called AFK, which requires you to beat the Tier 1 forest stage without the ability to move or jump. And when I say beat the stage, it doesn't mean take on the final boss of the level, because you physically can't go and activate that boss. So instead, it just means make it to the final swarm, which will appear once 10 minutes have passed as a means of ending your run. And they are relentless. However, along the way, you'll have to deal with increasingly difficult situations. So here's the rundown of the challenge. 10 minutes begin, and you spawn in place. You can't move, so you just have to face the enemies coming along and let them get close enough so that you can kill them and absorb their XP when defeated. You'll be relying heavily on the XP to level up and get more weapons and tomes, as you'll have no other means of doing so, like visiting shrines or looting chests. So this is pretty key to manage from the start. Counting down from 10 minutes, this is what you have to deal with. At the 7-minute mark, the first sub-boss of the stage will spawn. Enter the Stone Golem, or Chunkum the Terrible. In this house, we hate Chunkum. He is indeed terrible. At the 6-minute mark, the first swarm will come in. And at the 3-minute mark, the second swarm will arrive. How nice. Now, at the 2-minute mark, the second sub-boss will arrive, which will be the one that didn't show up earlier. So yes, this unfortunately means that one way or another, we have to see Chunkum. And at the 0-minute mark, the final swarm will arrive to wipe you out. And this is what you need to reach to complete the AFK challenge. So this sounds simple enough, and for the most part, it is. But the sub-bosses are the most difficult obstacle of the whole ordeal. Considering you can wipe out these bosses in approximately 3 seconds in any other case, this becomes a little bit more arduous. So, and no, 3 seconds is not an exaggeration. Start the time. There we go. Yes, I did just include that clip to feel better about myself after 9 hours of stationary failures. What about it? Despite not being able to move in this AFK challenge, enemies can still push you around or even fling you across the map. And there's potentially some strategy in this for grabbing nearby chests or power-ups, but you yourself cannot move. So why am I doing this? Good question. I don't know. This is just a tiny part of the game. It's one single challenge for one single character on one single map for one single tier of difficulty. And for what? Silver coins, perhaps? No, I got hundreds just from these failed attempts. It's literally just the check mark and unlocking more challenges. Also, I need to do 6 challenges to unlock the Spaceman character, which I really want. It doesn't need to be the AFK challenge specifically, but I'm just difficult. Right, I am not going to make you sit through anecdotal retellings of the entire 9 hours, because 1, I didn't record 9 hours of footage, and 2, the sooner this video is done, the sooner I can wipe these struggles from my memory. And this is not going to take everyone 9 hours. A lot of it comes down to RNG, knowing what build is going to work best, and being smart. And out of those 3 things, I can say for certain that I don't meet any of the criteria. So, 9 hours later. The failed attempts could be incredibly defeating. Sometimes it would just go so poorly right from the start because of the enemy types that would show up, or ultimately useless tomes and weapons. I can't even tell you how many times I got, like, movement speed upgrades. I can't move. What am I supposed to do with this? However, this is what a promising run can look like, and also how it can go so wrong. I started to get a relatively strong build early on, or at least the types of tomes and weapons that I wanted. Then the first sub-boss came along, and you can probably guess who it is. Somehow I actually managed to defeat Chunkum here with relative ease. Okay, relative ease might be a complete lie. He did kick the out of me, and then kicked me into this corner too, so my back was quite literally against the wall. However, despite this back and forth, well not me, I couldn't move, despite being kicked back and forth like a football, as soon as Chunkum the Terrible approached me in my corner, menacingly, might I add, I actually defeated him, with very little health remaining. In complete disbelief, I was left to just sit in this corner and pray. Also being blinded by this chest, but, you know, you take what you can get. Now I just had to watch poor Sir Oofy stand here and hope he makes it. And also hoping I don't get blinded by another... Okay, well, great. Just dropping in case I had any vision left whatsoever. Thanks. This is literally what my guy could see right now, in case you were curious. Once we hit the 2-minute mark, our boy the stone golem turned up. Just kind of like from the wall, but the wall is stone, I guess. I was actually dealing some decent damage to him for a moment, giving me a little bit of hope, but then he just wandered off up the wall. Unfortunately, this is one of the many downsides of being stuck in a corner alongside monsters falling onto you over and over again. With the golem up there, I couldn't do anything. My weapons and abilities weren't actually doing enough to chip away at the health bar. However, his AoE attacks were still popping up on me, which my shields could tank the most of before recharging, but the little bit of health that it was taking off me each time meant that I would inevitably... Yep. Okay. With 1 minute left on the clock. Okay. There were countless attempts like this, as well as many others that were only... worse. Unfortunately, I did not record the majority of them, which includes the successful attempt, so... I thought I was recording it, but I wasn't. So with that, I'll say thanks for watching. I'm just kidding. I got the last 30 seconds of it because once I realized it was not in fact recording, I clicked record. So it might not be grand or incredibly victorious, but here is my grand victory nonetheless. Cool.